Good morning, Ed from Port Monmouth, New Jersey. Angie says, I love sharks, Guy. That's wonderful. Hi, Samuel from Puerto Rico. Buenos dias, I guess. There we go. We've got quite a few people signing in this morning, which is wonderful. I'm sure a lot of people are in the mood to talk about sharks, given the week of celebrating sharks, which has been good. Lisa says, looks great. It looks like you've got a little mustache going on the shark now. Makina says, hi from El Salvador. Ola from Puerto Rico. Amy says, from Gulfport, hello from Gulfport, Mississippi. David from Galveston, Texas. Hello, everybody. Jake says, I love your art. Thank you for all you do. Carlos, the man, good morning. Thanks for joining us. You really are astounding in the number of live sessions you have followed. Thank you so, so much. Shark Week, baby. I love that. I love that, Becky. That's awesome. Hello from Virginia. Hi, John. Lovely to see you. We'll be on in a second. So we're just giving everybody a chance to grab a coffee, sit somewhere comfortable, and we have such an interesting week to tell you about. So we're very excited. And given that the topic is on sharks today, it's quite appropriate. Krista says, good morning from Pensacola. I love it. I love it. I need that. That's a... Hey, Sabs. Oh, so good to see you. Sabs is watching. That's awesome. Hey, Pedro. From Southwest Caribbean island of San Andres, Colombia. Love Guy Harvey art. Beautiful. Wonderful. So we have quite a few people joining us this morning, and it is 10 o'clock on the dot. So I'm just going to step in and just say official good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this Saturday, Facebook Live with Dr. Guy Harvey and myself, Traveling Jess Harvey. We recently came back from Little Cayman. We were supposed to spend a weekend there, and the diving was so good, we decided to stay a few extra days, and it was definitely worth our while. So we're going to talk about what we saw. And just as an intro for today, I know that a lot of people have been watching Shark Week or shark-related videos this week. And it's great because they are an animal to be celebrated. And as a lot of you may know, we have a lot of stuff on sharks due to the level of research that we do on different pelagic species. But if you haven't seen that, please go on to guyharvey.com and have a look and see all the different shark-related things, whether it's merchandise or Amazon Prime videos. We have over about 20 documentaries up there, most of them featured on different amazing sharks, including this particular species here, the tiger shark. And if you're new to the Facebook Lives, we have done a load of them and have posted them all so that you guys can have a chance to go back and review them. We talk about different art techniques, different species, different habitats, and even down to the names of the colors that Dad uses and the paint substrate. So have a look if you're a budding artist or want to try something new. It's a great place to start. So Dad, do you want to talk about what you are painting now?
Yeah, good morning everybody, and welcome back to our Saturday night Facebook Live presentations. As Jessica said, we had a really tremendous week in Little Cayman. We extended our stay by 2 days just because the conditions were so good. We saw a lot of sharks, mostly Caribbean reef sharks.
And you would have seen on Facebook Live, we actually did a Facebook Live last weekend in Little Cayman, which was quite funny. It was
but it was at the Booby Pond Reserve, and it featured the terrestrial rock iguanas too. So it had more of a terrestrial focus, which is a good mix because we spent most of the time underwater, as it turned out.
Yeah. But full characters, those guys. I'm going to go back behind the camera so I can watch for your questions. So feel free to feed us in, but you go ahead, Dad.
So a couple of cool things about Little Cayman. We've been there for 10 consecutive years filming the grouper spawning every year in January or February, working with the Reef Environmental Education Foundation and the Department of Environment here. And we've done 2 documentaries on the Nassau groupers, and it was so cool to actually go to other dive sites and sea nassau groupers behaving normally as they would, scattered around the reefs, solitary creatures, and we picked up some really interesting behavioral stuff. I'm very inspired. Now I found out that nassau groupers love to eat squirrel fish. I can see a painting coming up there about that. But we're also glad to see a fair amount of Caribbean reef sharks, which are all residents there. The population is pretty good. Sharks have been protected in the Cayman Islands since 2015. So we're seeing a little uptick in numbers of different species, black tips, reef sharks, etc., silkies. I'm doing a tiger shark here simply because we also saw one about a month ago in North Sound here. They are a predator of turtles. I'm going to do a green turtle in here, and I'll get into the technique shortly. But after a very inspiring week last week, I got lots of things bubbling under. And you were able to catch a really nice 300-pound blue marlin one day for first-time angler Alex Robertson. So he's 22 years old and did a great job on the rod. And me, I love my marlin fishing, and we had a great time over in Little Cayman. So, Jess, what have you got there?
Well, so I just want to say, first of all, the whole marlin situation was really important because we hadn't caught one in months and it was making Dad a bit edgy. So I'm glad that we finally got one in. And so what we did for Little Cayman, if some of you don't know, Little Cayman is the smallest of the 3 islands in the Cayman Islands, and it's renowned for its diving. The COVID situation has given the reefs a break, and so when we went back, it was just, I realize now that I really like quiet on land places, but New York City undersea places. So it was vibrant, and we were staying at Southern Cross Club, who looked after us extremely well. So shout out to them, and who are also a Guy Harvey outpost. And we saw amazing amount of turtles and got lots of great footage which is important because there's a relationship between tiger sharks and turtles here. But lots of green turtles, hawksbill turtles, the biggest loggerhead turtle you have ever seen. And it was actually hilarious because, and I kept using this analogy, it reminded me of an albatross because it was so big, it actually needed some serious momentum to get off the ground. And it was at first just kind of crawling on with its flippers on the sand, and then it decided to just leave the area.
Where was this?
This was actually in Cayman Brac off of
our last day.
Our last day. So Cayman, there's 5 miles between Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. It's about 90 miles between Grand Cayman and Little Cayman.
Right.
And this turtle, it was huge. We're going to post this when we've gone back. I have over 200 gigs of footage to go through. It's going to be, reliving it all is going to be phenomenal. And we filmed so much that the camera got hot and shut down. So it goes to show just how much there is to see on our reefs in Little Cayman.
Yeah, they should change the name of that camera from GoPro to no GoPro because we're overheated.
But anyway, it was very good. And what else? So the other thing that we got to do, seeing it was Shark Week, just by chance, there was a lemon shark, a juvenile lemon shark that washed up on shore in Little Cayman, and we got a chance to go and see that dissection at CCMI. In order to do that, they got permission from the Department of Environment because sharks are protected in our waters, and so they were able to show kids on a summer camp what the different parts of the shark, and look inside and see the different body parts inside. It didn't have any. I was hoping to have seen some a full stomach of something just to see what lemon sharks eat, but it was actually empty. And we don't really know what happened as to why it washed up, but it was a little lemon juvenile, which was a bit unfortunate.
They're a rare species here. You see more lemon sharks around continental margins and stuff. So mainland Central America all the way up Florida, of course, there's lots. Well, there used to be lots of lemon sharks. The Bahamas have a lot. Dr. Sammy Gruber worked on lemon sharks. The late Dr. Sammy Gruber worked on lemon sharks for 40 years out at Bimini. We just don't get that many lemon sharks here, so these are a rare species.
Yeah, no, it's great. There's a few in Little Cayman, I've seen them, but you don't see a lot of them in Grand unless you're really looking for them. But yeah, so I hope you guys have been enjoying the week. I know there's been a lot of things on featuring sharks, and as I said, you know, we have our documentaries that feature the different sharks, different migrations of different shark species, including the tiger shark here. Another show that we...
Well, hold on, while you're on the research thing, who is researching right now in Mexico without us?
No.
Yeah.
So sad.
Well,
Rafael de la Parra is a research scientist based in Mexico who is studying the migration patterns of whale sharks, and we would normally be there in July, August.
Yeah.
So we are saying a big shout out to Rafael and his team who have been tagging whale sharks, and and looking forward to seeing what new. It's been tough with the COVID situation because a lot of researchers and people who may relate to this on this Facebook Live, a lot of researchers have lost a huge time period in data collecting, and that's going to affect everybody's data collection. And so, you know, we're thinking of you guys, and it's a shame, but we're trying to catch up now. So it's great that Rafael has been able to go out there and do some tagging. We won't be able to get to Panama until next year for our tagging efforts.
Well, don't give up. We may be able to go. Yeah.
Well, hopefully. Our airport is now extended not to open until October as opposed to September 1st. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so for those of you who are new to the water or haven't been spending time with sharks or know little about them, sharks are an important keystone species for our oceans, and many countries have done a great effort to protect them, understanding the value of them to the reefs. And Cayman Islands is one of those countries, so we're really proud for the efforts that our local governments and the local citizens have made in order to raise awareness and protect these animals.
So there are 6 countries in the Caribbean now that have protected sharks, which is great. Yeah. And of course, you know, shark ecotourism is the other user group rather than fishing or extraction of sharks, especially for shark fin soup, has been the detriment to the group of fishers over several decades now. And we're very proud of our track record here in the Cayman Islands, and we'd love to see some other countries join the team of countries that have protected sharks because of their inherent value to marine ecosystems, but also their socio-economic value to as a eco-tourist attraction, so to speak. Shark ecotourism has taken off in a big way in many countries without any apparent detrimental effects to the populations. In fact, it encourages more conservation.
So I'm just going to go through, now that I've been chatting for a little too long, there's lots of people who are writing in with questions, so I'm going to try and get through them as many as I can. Apparently there was a great white off Jupiter recently. Hadn't seen the news, but I'll definitely check that out and see.
Right. Well, let's correct people. It's called the white shark. It's just the press that call them the great white shark. So, yeah.
Do you want to explain why?
No, you can do that.
Okay, so the reason that there's the proper common name is called white shark as opposed to great white shark is because the name implies that there is a lesser shark or lesser white shark, and because one has not been discovered yet, the name is still white shark. So in comparison to things like a great barracuda or a great hammerhead, there are lesser barracudas and lesser hammerheads. And so, so that's a great trivia question to know. So when are we guys going to restock your T-shirts again? I don't know which T-shirts you mean, so fill us in which ones you want, and then I will see if they've already been restocked. A lot of people are saying thank you for sharing. Naira says, obviously you're a master, but that dorsal fin sticks out like a sore thumb, almost like a hammerhead fin. Have a look.
Absolutely not. Stand back here and have a look. It's in perspective.
Okay.
Yeah. Tiger sharks have a big dorsal fin, but it's very, it's a typical shape, and I'm going to put a few stripes on it later. I'm just doing the background. This whole process takes time. It takes maybe 5 or 6 layers of paint to get to where I want to be before I can start to sort of finish up on this.
What size shark would you say that is?
This is probably a 9 foot. It's not very fat. Probably a 9 foot shark. This is going to be a big green turtle. Mm-hmm. The flipper will come across the shark here. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of doing the evasive swim at the predator maneuver to sort of put it off.
Okay.
And yeah, but this is early days, so I just started this morning, especially for your benefit, guys, just to show you another what I call a predator-prey interaction. Mm-hmm.
Good morning,
sharks,
Jacqueline.
Yeah, tiger sharks are very cool animals. They're nice to paint because they're not monochromatic. They've got these wonderful stripes, which I'll get to later, hopefully in a few minutes. And they've got a superb face with lots of character, big mouth, expressive eye, and they're very cool animals.
Would you say they're your favorite? Someone's asking.
They're one of my favorite sharks, and of course we studied tiger sharks in Bermuda from 2008 to 2011, and in the Bahamas. Did a lot of tracking work with them, with the late Dr. Neil Burney from Bermuda, and with the Bahamas National Trust in the Bahamas. And our studies on the tiger shark actually helped propel the Bahamas government into making a decision to ban all commercial shark fishing in the Bahamas as far back as 2011, which is why they have so many sharks. Mm-hmm. And in the book I recently finished, talking about the Bahamian situation, sharks were actually protected from about 1993 because longline fishing in the Bahamas archipelago was banned. Bottom longlining for snappers, groupers, etc. And it inadvertently helped save sharks at the same time. And the story goes from the Stewart Cove dive operation there near Nassau, that back in '93, this fishing operation actually killed a lot of their Caribbean reef sharks. And it took months for some of the sharks to come back to the Shark Interactive program. And it wasn't until 2011, so that's almost 18 years later, that there was official protection for sharks from the Bahamian government. Not only, as I said before, because of their inherent value to marine ecosystems, healthy reefs need sharks, but also because shark ecotourism is a big generator of income to the Bahamian economy, as it has become for many Pacific islands, other Caribbean islands, Central American. Mexico's gone a long way into that. Just take a look at the whale sharks we were just talking about, and so on. So this animal has been a very important critical species in terms of not only our research work, what we learn from it, but in helping us to promote shark ecotourism in other countries. Mm-hmm. And it is a cosmopolitan species. You find it all around the world in tropical and subtropical waters.
Cool. Yeah. Ed is saying, do you dive with a rebreather to minimize noise? Ideally, we would. And you realize just how much noise...
Some species.
Yeah. I'm trying to get into become a better free diver, and because certainly that helps. And if anyone has seen the Nat Geo Shark Fest series where they had freedivers document the juvenile tiger shark behavior in Tahiti when they switched from wearing tanks to freediving, the interaction change was dramatic. Right. It's amazing. So yes, ideally we would, but it requires special training. Dad did training years ago. I haven't done training yet, but I really would like to get into freediving more than rebreather, just because the amount of gear needed is quite vast.
And you mentioned National Geographic and the Shark Fest. Well, fortunately, I can do 2 or 3 things at once. And while I'm painting, I often watch TV and sports or wildlife shows and so on. But Nat Geo did a really good job this year, I think, much better than ever before, in talking about different species of sharks and less focus on the white shark. And they did a lot of features on diminutive species of sharks, bottom dwellers, some really interesting stuff backed up by good science, good facts, and a lot of our co-researchers actually were featured on the programs, like Chris Harvey Clark was from Dalhousie University, was featured on,
really?
on the Greenland
Okay.
shark. There was a lot of effort on the Greenland shark, which I found fascinating, and other species that are not so high profile. And it was very informative. There were still, reenactments of attacks by white sharks, bull sharks, and
Tigers.
tiger sharks. But it's unfortunate that they still go back to that over-enthusiastic drama quite a bit, but just to catch your eye. But I found that the scientific content was pretty compelling, and hats off to Nat Geo for generally doing a much better job than before.
So I'm just going through some more comments. Good morning. When Rosebud Tyler says, when in Florence at Palmetto Moon, you were the best when looking for a wahoo for my son. I love Rosebud. That's very sweet.
Great. Well, Palmetto Moon is one of our favorite groups of people, our favorite accounts in the Carolinas, and a big shout out to the Webster family who used to own it, and to Eric Holzer and all his team. And we hope to get back there after the pandemic has been squashed.
Yes, absolutely. Mark says, I'm diving in St. Croix in October. I hope to see some sharks then. Yes, good luck. Make sure that your SD card is in your card and your batteries are all charged before going in.
Yes.
Very important. Let's see what else. Bill Karen Stewart is asking, does the temperature of the water affect how many sharks and what kind you see? Very good question.
Yes, of course it does. Their sharks have successfully colonized just about every corner of the ocean. There are deep water sharks that live in 4 degrees centigrade water. There are sharks that live in the Antarctic and the Arctic oceans. There are sharks that penetrate fresh water. There are sharks that can go in and out of fresh water to seawater and raise too. And there are some sharks, some of the oceanic sharks, like the mackerel sharks, that's the white shark, mako, salmon shark, and poor beagle, have a degree of temperature regulation. They're somewhat warm-blooded, especially the mako and the white shark. So they can penetrate colder waters and have a huge advantage in terms of greater speed and ability to catch prey, to forage. Some fish have that ability too, like tunas. So several species of tunas, billfishes, have part of their body warmed by their metabolic heat, and that heat is contained or retained in the body by a countercurrent heat exchanger system.
Right.
The tiger shark has no ability to regulate, but interestingly, and on another of these Nat Geo features, it showed how tiger sharks dive on a regular basis to 1,200 feet. Well, guess what? It's pitch black down there. And so how they find their way around and how they tolerate the cold conditions is pretty unusual.
So I'm just going to take everyone just a quick look at like the brush strokes that you're doing here.
Thanks.
And Michael Hammond, hello, another one of our top fans, says, have you supported several shark research projects in Southwest Florida? Thank you.
We have, to a certain extent. We've been to we participate in some of the catch and release tournaments that have been featured there. And we work with Moat Marine Lab with Dr. Bob Huter. That's in Southwest Florida. They are, one of the leading shark research organizations in America. Done a lot of great work. And so, yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
So I'm still building up layers here, people. So it's slow going for the time being, and I might not get to doing the stripes yet. I can give you an idea, maybe prematurely, of what they might look like.
Okay.
And
in the meantime,
as we do every time, what we do is send you or post the finished painting in the end, so you can see the end result. But of course, you've got light coming down from above, so I've got, even though the back is dark, you've got a pale kind of tan underskin here, and then the stripes on top are going to be fairly close together, and not stripes like on a marlin or a sailfish, but thick, but distinct enough to be seen. And of course, every tiger shark has different stripes. I mean, you can set up. I'm sure I don't know if it's been done, but you can set up a photo database of the sort of patterns on a tiger shark, like they do for white sharks, they do for whale sharks, and other animals to detect how they travel from different places. You don't just have to tag them, but you can, because people are diving with them and taking pictures, you can have a sort of track record of where it went just from photographic evidence of the same animal.
And that's what there are some researchers that were featured on the Tiger Shark Nat Geo Fest, Shark Fest series, was the number of pictures of dorsal fins in particular was what they used as identifying markers. So
of tiger sharks.
Of tiger sharks.
Okay, cool.
So that's, I mean, and again, Raphael is working on that with identifying whale sharks by a particular patterns of their spots on a particular side of their face to be consistent. Right. And that's the main thing, is picking a spot that is consistent over time. And so shark researchers on tiger sharks have used dorsal fins as a way of identifying animals. So if you do get close enough to a tiger shark that you get a really good dorsal fin photo, send it in to the researchers who are working on it, and you may be able to find out which shark it is. Richard Elms is asking, white sharks in UK waters, do you think it's possible?
There was some news item about it the other day, but yeah, sure.
Eddie Bard says, are all the Cayman Islands shut down to tourists? Not necessarily, but it's just right now that they're not opening their airports to yet until October. So I think I'm just hoping that it's just going to give them the time needed to really set something up so that we don't have a mass increase in cases and be put back in lockdown like several of the places. Right. What we have learned, though, is that cruise ships are not going to be coming in until the new year. Mm-hmm. That is a guarantee. Yep. And Susan says, my son wants to go to Georgia Aquarium, where I believe is the only aquarium with tiger sharks. Do they have a tiger shark? They have whale sharks. Yeah, whale sharks. But definitely worth going to see, because that's an incredible aquarium.
Yeah, and that brings up a point that many of these big sharks, like the white shark, tiger, bull, mako, hammerheads have been kept in captivity, but many of them don't tolerate the confinement or walls or stuff like that. So they're just hard to keep, and yet you can keep an animal like a whale shark in there quite comfortably, and some large manta rays, as they do very successfully at the Georgia Aquarium and other places.
Again, would not recommend keeping animals like that in the aquarium, but those particular ones that they have special stories as to why they ended up in the aquarium, so I definitely go and check them out.
Well, they were saved, from fisheries.
Right, exactly.
But also, you must admit that it gives people the opportunity to go and see these animals, the real live animal, in an aquarium, who don't have the time or can't afford to go on expeditions like we do. Many people do.
No, absolutely.
It's like safaris as well. They're very expensive, and I would have a hard time paying for a safari. I don't mind going to a zoo because it's educational and inspirational at the same time.
Well, so long as the zoo retains good standards, has good conservation programs, has good veterinary. I mean, that's the difference between people, private pet owners thinking that they can take on exotic animals versus a place that actually has the facilities to do so. Right. Kathy says, do shark bands work as a repellent while swimming in the ocean? I'm not familiar with shark bands, but I know that there was some sort of spray repellent that had been talked about several years ago, which was generated from something that sharks give off when in stress, but I don't know enough about it to really comment, to be honest. Amy, do you happen to know the marine artist Marty Wilson? No. He has a gallery here in Gulfport, Mississippi. He too has extraordinary work. That's really cool.
Well, good. I'll look him up.
Good man.
Yep.
And
talking of the Gulf Coast, I want to have a shout out to our friend Eva Stockstill, who is a great supporter, works at Academy Sporting Stores, and has been a great volunteer for our fundraisers in October. We're still waiting to find out what's going to happen with the Fort Lauderdale boat show this year. It's pending, and there have been so many disruptions this year. It's unlikely, of course, that it will happen, but. Well, there's always next year.
Yeah.
You know? Let's be safe.
Molly Hottinger says, my mum told me yesterday she wants to see a Guy Harvey show on Nat Geo.
Yeah, I do too.
Agree with you there. It would be nice. Yeah. We're working on it. Try. And Kelly is enjoying watching it come to life before her eyes. Oh wow! I just realized I wasn't even paying attention to the stripes. Look at all these stripes that he's got.
They're faint, and I'll.
Here, let me just come around this way so that people can just see.
Yeah, it looks a bit like a gummy shark right now.
It does.
But
so okay.
Anyways,
okay. Yeah, I'm standing back up. So I'm just going through the questions. Charlene is asking, we're looking for one of Guy's t-shirts, all jacked up but not but haven't heard back. So we'll send a message and see. There's been Shark Week has had quite a few orders, and so that might be the reason, or it might have ended up in junk mail. But so I will check with them and see. And
that's not good, but yeah, we definitely follow up.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are having difficulty finding Guy Harvey apparel at their normal places where they shop. And while the pandemic is seriously affecting distribution, manufacture and distribution, you can shop on Guy Harvey online, guyharvey.com, and find pretty much anything you want these days.
Okay. So Michael Richmond says, Dr. Harvey, have you ever been shark diving in Jupiter, Florida? There are tons of sharks there.
There are, yeah.
Well, we haven't done Jupiter. Well, you might have done Jupiter. No, I haven't done Jupiter yet. But
we've had many invitations from Jim Abernathy, but we haven't quite made it yet. We've been with him many times in the Bahamas, and again in my book there's a big section on Jim and his operation because it's one of the best in the world.
Ryan Witchy, watching with my 6-year-old. She is terrified of sharks, but this calm and informative video is wonderful for her. All right, so I'm going to do a little thing on why people shouldn't be afraid of sharks, but have a healthy respect. So for Miss Witchy, I hope I pronounced that correctly. I can understand your fear initially of sharks, and it's partly because it's something we know little of. But when you spend time with them, you get to, and you watch their behaviors, you watch them interacting with other species and watch them interacting with you. Obviously, you're also dressed appropriately when you're diving with sharks, which is the main thing, and you have a healthy respect that they are wild animals. That's the main thing. But to be able, some of the best experiences of my life have been diving with sharks, and I was putting together a few photos of different species that I've been so privileged to see, including white sharks, tiger sharks, hammerhead sharks, oceanic white-tip sharks, nurse sharks, makos, the white-tip reef sharks, silver tips, so many different species, and there are over 512. Well, there are about 512 species known right now, and I will, continue to do my best to learn more about these animals, but spending time with them, especially with the Caribbean reef sharks this week in Little Cayman. There were 4 Caribbean reef sharks. 2 of them were big females, and we got a chance to see them close up, and some of them had been recently, a male had recently mated with them, and you could see the mating bites on the sides of their bodies, like one big bite on the females, and it was remarkable. I'm going to post a picture of that later. Okay. But they are, if we respect them, and we respect them in terms of distance, then they're not going to bother us, because again, we have not evolved to be their food type. They have evolved over 400 million years to fit different niches all around the world, and we have come in late into the game. So there's often the problems that lies within murky water, or if we're doing something similar to what a prey might be doing at that time. And so the more we learn about them, the more we know how to avoid incidences like that and be able to actually share the waters with them in a more safe environment. So I hope that one day you will be able to find the courage to dive and swim with them and get to know them better, because they are really cool creatures. So that's my tidbit on shark experiences. So I'm just going through to see what else we have. Christopher's saying, where is the conversation point at which the protection of many sharks that are more recovered? Okay, hold on. Let me see. if I read this correct, where is the conversation on the point at which the protection of many sharks that are more than recovered to the point where their impact is negative, bulls most specifically, especially in the waters of Western Atlantic and GOM where there is very little to no harvest of sharks? Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, well, you have to remember that many of these shark species have been so overfished, their populations have been brought down to very, very low percentages of what they used to be. You're speaking specifically about certain areas of the southern US that has apparently a seemingly healthy population of spinner sharks, of blacktip sharks, which is a very similar looking species, a smaller shark, more coastal, and of course the notorious bull shark that has been featured around the world, invading freshwater in many places, and has become probably the most, caused the most incidences between humans and sharks because of the habitat that they typically are found. So, you know, if you want to get into the fact there are too many sharks, well, no, there's too many people in the water these days, and so the encounters with these animals is going to go up without a shadow of a doubt. So you have to be a little bit more careful of where you swim, when you swim, what time of day you swim, what the clarity of the water is, and whether there are people fishing from the shore, because a lot of the southern US states, people fish from shore for sharks, and they catch and release. We saw a lot of that on Nat Geo, which is pretty good. They let go all the fish that they catch. So you just got to be more careful of where you go and swim in the ocean. Remember, it's their ocean. We've invaded their ocean, and so you can't really say, you know, you need to do something about these sharks like they've tried in Australia and places like that. But also there are areas of what we call local abundance, and so where there has been comprehensive conservation efforts, you are going to find shark numbers higher than in other places, and for certain species. But for the same area, the population of great hammerheads, of tiger sharks, and lemon sharks is so low that conservation over the next 100 years won't bring those species back to anywhere near where they were before exploitation started.
Actually, and just...
It's a long answer, but you know, it becomes, like all fisheries management, it becomes political in a sense.
Well, and just in terms of a political thing too, what I don't know if anybody saw, but there has been a huge problem with fishing fleets around the Galapagos.
Oh, right now.
Right now. And so it's great that, you know, certain areas of the states are doing their part in conserving their species, because other countries are suffering with the pressure from Chinese
commercial fishing,
to take sharks. And one of the containers was filled with, or one of the boats was filled with 6,000 tons of sharks. And, you know, that's a lot of sharks. And so the only way we're going to protect sharks as a whole around our world is have regional protection and support each country who have sharks to with the resources in order to understand that these animals are important, and you are going to generate a lot more for your country by keeping them in your country, keeping them alive in your country, and allowing them to migrate during their normal routes.
And protecting those routes from fishing. Yeah.
So kudos to them in the Gulf of Mexico, where they have had great conservation efforts there. A lot of people are saying hello, and Eduardo is saying greetings from Argentina.
Great.
That's wonderful.
Alrighty, well.
John McDowell saying thank you so much. Well, we are going to be closing off on our Facebook Live today.
Yep.
But just a reminder to please visit us on Amazon Prime and have a look at all the shark documentaries that are there. And, let me just see. Christopher, who had originally posed that question, just wanted to clarify, meant less on the impact on people, but more on the management of all species, not just sharks.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
So
that's all needed.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. That's Thank you for the great question, though, and thank you so much for submitting. And Bill saying we snorkeled with whale sharks off Eastern Mujeres. It was an amazing experience. They were
Good.
very gentle. Yes, they are, and they are. And again, you know, they as part of their management, they don't allow touching of the sharks, which is great. So you can observe from afar and them doing their own thing and just letting you be a part of that experience.
Right.
So. You're most welcome. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this morning. We're going to be posting the finished product of this piece, and hopefully you will. Oh wow! Look at this stripe coming. Oh no, that's light. Anyway.
And some of the pictures from Little Cayman.
Yes, I can't wait to show you. There's just so much to go through. It's going to take days to process all of this, but it'll be worth it. Anyway, so wishing you all the best. Stay safe. And we hope that your families aren't being affected by the COVID situation. We are now, Cayman is considered COVID free. See how long that lasts. Hopefully that lasts very long. And thank you to everybody who has been buying stuff from Guy Harvey. We have, as you know, you're helping us support our research and educational efforts by doing so, because a portion of all the proceeds goes back into the foundation to complete their mission. And we will be back here next Saturday and look forward to seeing you then. See you soon. Take care, guys.
Great, guys. Have a wonderful weekend and a productive week. So look forward to next Saturday. Take care.
Oh, wait. Last question. What was the first painting you did with sharks?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, and does anyone see the cogs turning there? The cogs are firing up. Steam is about to come out of his ear pretty soon. What do you think? Probably reef sharks, right? Because you would have done it on what you saw.
No, I would think probably something to do with the Old Man and the Sea story, so maybe a maker.
Yes, that's true. Back, So if you guys haven't seen some of the Old Man and the Sea footage or pictures, you should have a look because it's pretty cool. All right. Bye, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Thanks for joining us. See you soon.